welcome everyone to Your Our Unity, a show that wishes to spread a spirit of peace and love in the world, one person at a time. We want to encourage you to live every day to the fullest. We want you to love madly and deeply. And most importantly, we want you to share your story unapologetically. I am your host, LeShawn Walker. I'd like to welcome you in. Please like, share, and follow. Let everyone know we're on right now, streaming live from Strong Island Studios here in Long Island. I hope you guys are doing well. I had an amazing week. Actually, amazing last couple of days. I've been sharing a few ups and downs that I've been going through lately. We're all going through something, I'm sure. And I hope that people out there and you guys out there are taking the time to self-care, to just take some time to meditate, sit down with yourself, talk to God, do whatever you need to do to reconnect with yourself. Again, I have been going through some things, but this past week, after all the lows that I've been experiencing, I was on an extreme high. I was honored this past weekend for an award, the Community Advocate Award from Sweet Mother Incorporated. This organization is amazing. It was started by Eugenia Chisman. She founded Sweet Mother in 2004 to celebrate the outstanding strength in ordinary mothers. The mission is to transform, empower, and serve as a catalyst for positive change and upliftment in the lives of disadvantaged girls socially and globally. So for over 15 years, Sweet Mother has been honoring mothers who, within the confines of their homes, have been successful in balancing motherhood with their business, their profession, and in their community. Basically celebrating, honoring, and uplifting just ordinary women who are doing extraordinary things. And I happen to be one of them. I was so honored. I was happy to be nominated and even more so happy to win the nomination. I was there with my family. There goes my award with my flowers. Again, because of everything that I've been experiencing lately, it was great to be recognized for all of the efforts that I've just been putting forward lately. I mean, again, as I mentioned, a few episodes ago, I was a person that's always wanted to give back and always wanted to serve. But I did it in a different fashion. I wasn't out there in the thick of it and in the dirt. I was always donating money and serving in a smaller capacity. But my mission now is to get into the fire and show people that I am out there trying to be the voice for them, for those disenfranchised, those that need help, those that are seeking a better life. And so at this awards event, I was daring everyone to just be you. Dare to be you was my message, because I think that once we identify who we are, what our purpose is, how we are to live our passion, then that is when we're living the best of ourselves and the best of our life. And I just wanted everybody to uncover that every single day that they wake up. So again, this past weekend, I was just on this high that I'm actually still floating on. If you can't tell, I'm all happy and smiley and bright. I am that sunshine that I normally am. But, like I said, life happens and you have to navigate through the good times and the bad times. So this was definitely a good time for LeShawn. And I'm so glad that Your Unity was recognized, as an organization that's out there trying to make the change and actually is doing it. So thank you to everyone that attended. Thank you for everyone that supported me on this journey to accomplishing and fulfilling my dreams. And more importantly, just thank you for wanting to join me on this quest, in this mission of being the change that this world so desperately needs. So again, so happy, as you could tell. Now, I also on Sunday was going to church because I haven't been to church in a couple of weeks, went to Israel, and then, I came back and I had to get back on New York time, which I'm still kind of struggling with, but I'm doing a little better. I'm getting some things done. But Sunday, I finally went to church to find out that our church was having service at a carnival. So I went to the carnival all dressed in my, Sunday attire, to find out that we're actually kind of hosting this carnival. So it was an all-day event. So this week in Unity in the community, I attended Valley Stream Presbyterian Church in partnership with, I believe, of God in Christ Church, their annual carnival, summer carnival. It was amazing. Now, it was supposed to be bad weather. There were spots of rain here and there, but everyone came out. Tickets were being purchased. Kids were playing. Family members were coming together. The sun stayed out for as long as it could. We were selling fish and hot dogs and, also fellowshipping and offering some positivity and a good word to those who wanted to stand around and listen. But it was a good time for all. I understand they had a gospel concert the night before, which I unfortunately was not able to attend because I was accepting my award. But the fact is that it was a wonderful event. It lasted, I believe, from Thursday until this past Sunday. So I hope you guys were able to participate. I hope you were able to win some prizes, at the carnival, at the different vendors and the games that they had. Again, it was a great time for, our church to be out there and kind of fellowshipping with the community, because that's really what it's all about. We wanted to give back in some capacity, let them know that we were there, hopefully gain some new members, and basically just be the outreach that, all communities actually need. So it was really good. I, again, just thought I was showing up for church, but God told me I had a bigger a job to do. And so I ended up staying there for probably like 6-7 hours. So it was actually really nice until the rain came down and just kind of washed us away, told us to move on. But anyway, Unity and Community this past week was wonderful. I hope you guys did something great. It's getting kind of chilly outside, and the fall season is settling in. So I hope that whatever you did was full of greatness. I hope that it put a smile on your face like what I did put a smile on my face. It made me think, actually, this past week, everything that's been going on in my life. And I'm not one for pictures. I honestly don't like them too much. I'm understanding that it is something that is needed when you're on a journey. You want to document those moments. Not something that I'm used to doing, but I've decided that I have to start it. I've been taking a lot of photos. I've been unfolding, to the masses, so to speak, who I really am at the core. I don't want you to just think that I'm a person that's not gone through anything and hasn't suffered or struggled or experienced any type of adversity, because I have. So I'm trying to share that with you in, on a weekly basis, what my mood is, what I'm going through, who I am for that day. And I realize now, as I'm journeying through uncovering the best of myself and building our unity, that I have to start documenting those moments. I do keep a journal and I write everything for the most part down, but now it's about the visual. It's about showing who I am and what I was and what I was doing at that moment and at that state in my life. I know that pretty soon our unity is going to be worldwide, and I'm going to need some type of documentation of my journey, my path, my quest to uncovering what this platform is and what it means to the world and why it's so important that you all come along and join in. But I just didn't know that I needed it so soon. But now with everything that's happening, I realize it's so important now. So I hope that you guys are out there taking advantage of documenting your life, documenting what's happening in your world. It can be personal, or it could be used later on to kind of show people your struggle, your plan, your path, everything that you've done to become the person that you are today, where God placed you and where he put you. That's what I wanted to start doing. I met this amazing gentleman through Michael Sledge, who I've had here on the show, who is a filmmaker. He documents everything about everyone. I think it's time that we kind of document his life for a change. But I want him to speak to us about how important it is to document your life. And that is the title of the show today. And we'll be speaking to Reggie Bullock. He is a filmmaker and public speaker, and he's one of the most sought after motivational speakers in the United States. Born and raised in the Bronx, Reggie started a career in teaching, which lasted 17 years, and then transitioned into filmmaking in 2008. In 2009, Reggie created the film A War for Your Soul, which has been mentioned on CNN, The Michael Baisden Show, and shown at Reverend Al Sharpton's Civil Rights Film Festival. This short film is a stirring, inspirational video for today's generation. The video has garnered over 10 million views and praises from mayors and city leaders, youth and civic organizations, and almost every major country around the world, sparking dialogue and encouraging adults to play a more active role in educating children. Reggie's most recent documentary is the film Michael, which deals with a young child who was bullied into becoming a two-time karate gold medalist. In 2018, Reggie launched the Greatness 5 channel on YouTube, where all of his work can be viewed. He is currently working on a new project, the Greatness 5 Legacy Interviews, a podcast series interviewing 80 plus people from all walks of life. In 2019, Reggie launched the comedy show channel titled Reggie, Ruthie, and the Rev, also on YouTube. With 3 Key to the City awards from Texas, Florida, and Georgia, Reggie also had to endure unexpected challenges. In the past 12 years, he has survived brain surgery and other life-threatening surgeries, which has caused him to look at life differently. He states, "We only have one life. Live, love, laugh, and be grateful." He is here to share the importance of documenting your life. Please help me welcome the amazing Mr. Reggie Bullock. How are you, my friend?
Thank you so much. After hearing that, the show is over. I can leave. I want to just get my mother to see your intro. The intro was so fly that I'm like, wow, I don't even want to say anything because I'm going to mess it up. But I got to say this before we get going. I've been interviewing, and thank you for me being here. I really, really enjoy this, and I can feel the energy. But I got to say this. I've been interviewing people nonstop, at least 4 or 5 interviews per day. Wow. And so I'm on the other end of this thing. So now to be on the other side of the camera, it's just a weird feeling because I'm used to like blocking myself out, stepping out to get a drink or something, coming back, but now I can't move. And not only that, my stuff is recorded.
That's right.
It's not live. So this is live. So if I mess up, it's not LeShawn's fault. It's not the producer's fault. Somebody's fault. It's just put on me. But anyway, thank you, LeShawn. I thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
No problem. It is truly a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to have you here and was actually looking forward to this day. You have such an amazing life, amazing story. And you've interviewed, oh my God, countless, hundreds, I'm sure, of people in the business all over the world in different types of platforms and industry. And so I wanted to share that with the world, as well as the fact that I know that you feel that documenting your life and sharing your story with the world is important. So I kind of wanted an actual filmmaker, motivational speaker to share that. So we see that you were born and raised in the Bronx.
Yes.
Serious. Yeah, it's pretty serious, my friend.
Yeah. It was, what's so funny? I interviewed a gentleman this week, and he grew up in Queensbridge.
Okay.
Housing projects, largest housing projects in the United States. And so he said to me, I said, "So what was it like?" And he said, "It was a beautiful tragedy." Wow. And I never heard anybody say it. Like, he said it was a beautiful tragedy. Shout out to Sugar Ray who said that. But I have to say this for me, even though our doors were barred up and my bike, I had 3 different bicycles stolen and just weird stuff that happens growing up in kind of a rough neighborhood. It was also beautiful as well.
Right.
It was a beautiful part of it. The neighbors all knew each other. I'm still friends with at least 5 kids that grew up on my block during that time period. So I'm still tight with them.
Yeah.
And we're talking 60 something years later.
Right.
And so it was beautiful. The tragedy part, yeah, you might get jumped here and there. Things may get stolen, but for the most part, I would not trade it for anything in the world growing up. And technically, the North Bronx wasn't that bad, but I kind of lived right down the block from Edenwald Projects, which is kind of rough.
Yeah.
And most of the people from Edenwald that did not have cars, they walked through my block, 225th Street, to catch the 225th Street train and the bus.
Right.
So we saw the traffic of people coming in, homeless, all kind of stuff. But it was like, in the words of Sugar Ray, it was a beautiful tragedy.
Wow, that's amazing. How did that shape, your upbringing? How did that shape the man that you are today?
That's a great question. It shaped me in a bad way. Let me cover the bad way it shaped me. It shaped me that I don't trust people. Because I was taught at an early age, don't talk to strangers, don't smile at people. If you walk around the Bronx grinning at people, you're gonna get jumped.
Yep.
So you have to put on this stone face. And if you do make eye contact, it's a weird dynamic. Yeah. You make eye contact, but you don't want to look away too quick, because you look away too quick, the person's gonna think you're a punk. But if you stare them down too long, they may shoot you.
Exactly.
So you figure out at like 7, 8, 9 years old, look, because you want to look to see how crazy they are.
Yeah.
So you got to stare them down for a second, but don't stare too long. And if you look away too quick, you're a punk, they're gonna jump you. So it did kind of do that. I still answer the door with, "Who is it?" You don't have to do that when you live in certain neighborhoods. Right. At one point, I lived on a military base. My ex-wife was in the military.
Right.
And so there's nobody on base that's going to jump you. There's no home invasion. None of that's going to happen. And somebody knocked on the door, and we have a peephole through the door. I'm looking to the people. I go, "Who is it?" And she said, "What are you doing, Reggie? What are you doing?" I said, "I just said, who is it?" She said, "You don't do it. Who do you think it is?" And then I had to really think about this and process and say, "Oh, that's right. We're on a place where there's no crime."
Right.
So in a bad way, it shaped me a little bit that way. I'm getting past that now.
Right.
I don't say, "Who is it?" Usually I just don't answer the door and put my ear to the door. But no, all jokes aside, the good part was, particularly in the North Bronx, it allowed me to understand who Puerto Ricans are. I'm not Puerto Rican, I'm Black. Right. It allowed me to see different colors of Black people. It allowed me to see Black people that had freckles and red hair, light skin, dark skin. There was a dark skinned brother one time I was sitting there talking to him about Africa, and he said, "Well, I'm not African." I said, "Yes, you are. You're part of it." He said, "No, I'm Cuban."
Wow.
I went to my mother and said, "Mom, how could this be Cuban?"
Wow.
Because he's Black. He said, "No, our colors extend." So I was able to understand West Indian culture, Jamaican, Barbados, no matter where you were from, I was able to understand that. The other beauty was, and I'm sure you can relate to this in the show, the food. Oh my Lord. Pizza.
Yes. I say that all the time.
Yes,
we discover different nationalities through their cuisine. Yes.
Yes. Pizza. I mean, real pizza.
Yes.
Well, no, actually, it's not real pizza. In Italy, our pizza is fake over here.
Exactly. You know that's true. Yes. You're absolutely right.
Food was so good.
That's
just
amazing.
The Jamaican patties, and just I could go on and on. But from that aspect, it gave me I got to say one other thing that threw me off.
Okay.
When you grow up in an all Black environment and everybody's Black, even somebody that's albino, you're like, but they're Black.
Right.
It was a different adjustment when I went away to school to be around predominantly white people. That was different for me.
Right.
Some of the comments and it wasn't because they were necessarily racist. They just didn't know.
Right.
Certain things. But that was an adjustment. But overall, I loved growing up there and I miss it.
I love that. I love that. Now, let me ask you, considering that you are such a good listener and you're now this filmmaker and you're documenting people's lives and sharing their stories, were you always fascinated as a child with a story, with, people and what they had to share other than, learning more about their culture and who they were?
Yeah, another great question. You nailing a great question. You're gonna have me. This is gonna be like an Oprah interview. You're gonna have me crying. You're gonna have me crying about 10 more minutes into
No.
then I'm gonna say to the producer, listen, cut me out because you're gonna have me crying. You're asking some deep mental questions. Yeah, I do remember the reason why I think I was liked by so many people, aunts, uncles, cousins, just so many people, because I always asked questions. Part of it was being nosy, but part of it was I found out early on, maybe age 11, if you ask people enough questions, they'll tell you something where you'll respect them.
Yes.
And I wasn't doing that consciously as 11 or 12-year-old, but if I would ask enough questions like, oh, and these were the type of questions when I was 11 and 12. So is that your father? You know what I mean? Is that your father coming in and out? No, it's not my father. Why you ask me? I was just want to know. Was it your father? Is that that's your mother's brother? Okay. I would always ask these type of questions. And so as I got older, I continued to do that. And that's what created like almost like a popularity thing. But I wasn't trying to be popular. I really was interested in the stories of people. Years later, and I know you probably have a timeline as far as the questions, but just skipping forward to when I got sick and going through the brain tumor thing. I came out, I was fine. The only time I don't remember stuff is when I don't want to remember it. But for the most part, I came out with a different understanding of the question that you asked. I really started to realize that life is precious, life is short.
Yes.
And every human being that walks the earth, they're special. You just don't know their story. So even if I wasn't doing documentaries, now I'm interested in the total stranger. If I'm at the train station, bus station, I'm standing in line, get my registration done for my car, I will strike up a conversation and somehow, some way weave my nosiness into their life and say, wow, because everybody's got a great story.
Yes, I am the same way. Yeah. And again, I have been called nosy in my time, but I don't think it's nosy. I'm inquisitive. And I want to be clear on the whole story. I'm that type of person, Reggie, that when I am speaking with you, I want to go on that journey with you. I want to see it. I don't just want to hear it. I want to see it. So that's why I ask so many questions. So it's not to dig, to be, to pry into one's life. It's because I am interested, and there is really a difference, and I know that you know that.
Yeah.
So
and let me, before you go, let me say this in one of the Indian religions, they have several over there, but one of the Indian religions, they believe in something. I heard Deepak Chopra say this that years ago, that they believe in something called dharma. It rhymes with karma, but it's not. It's dharma. And dharma is the belief that every single human being that's ever walked this earth, they're the greatest and the most special at one thing. Now, whether they ever figure out, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But it made me look at people differently.
Yes.
Like I look at you differently. I'm like, so I have to respect you.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, LeShawn is the greatest ever.
Yes.
Ever. Not just, the terms they used to tell us, you're special. Well, I get that. You're like a snowflake. Snowflakes, all snowflakes are there. I get that.
Right.
But when I'm looking at you now, I'm like, okay, now just put this through your brain. The person you're talking to, this is not just a regular spirit. She's the greatest that has ever lived. Yes. Your technician in the back, he's the greatest.
Yes.
So when you apply that concept to your mind, you have to respect people. And not only that, you want to start asking them questions.
That's right.
They're the greatest.
That's right.
Ahead, I'm sorry.
That's right. No, you're absolutely right. And I love that you said that, because that's my mindset as well, is that everyone's story is important. There's a gift in every last one. It's about us uncovering it and wanting to uncover it. Because sometimes we sit on it. We lay on our laurels. We don't think that we have anything, but God has placed something in every last one of us. And it is the matter of us figuring it out. And so you have to own your greatness, because you were already born with it. You just got to live up to it. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. But anyway, so again, we know that you have been doing these, every time I talk to you, you're telling me that you just finished interviewing someone. So how did you get into making documentaries?
The documentary started with my first, I guess you could say, film. And I want people to watch it, but then I don't want them to watch it because there's so many. I didn't know anything about editing. I didn't know anything about high definition pictures. And by the way, the pictures I sent in, for the people that are watching this, please do not blame LeShawn and the production team. No, I haven't been interviewed in a minute. And so, and it's so funny that you asked for the bio and asked for, because I've been on the other end for so long
Yeah.
that I forgot. Whereas when I was doing War for Your Soul, I was doing that every day. So the
Wow.
pictures were updated and stuff like. So I'm sending you non-high definition pictures. I'm sending you dusty stuff from way back. So
Oh,
I just want to let everybody know watching this. It is not LeShawn and the production crew. No, they've done a great job. It
yeah.
is me sending dusty pictures. And so,
Aw, they were
so
fine.
that
Don't
will
worry
change.
about it. Go ahead.
I know, but I had to say that for you guys. But um, the whole thing started with War for Your Soul. It started when Barack Obama, he was minutes away from becoming the president of the United States.
Okay.
And what happened was I'm watching this thing and I told my son he didn't have to go to school tomorrow. He could say, of course, he went to sleep. He went to sleep on the whole thing. When I could announce to him, hey, we got a black president, he was sleeping. So
Wow.
anyway, I used to work with kids, a group of minority kids for about 10 years. And before that, I worked with just general students anyway, teaching black history.
Okay.
And so what happened was when I saw this moment, I literally said, hey, you got to make, in my mind, a glorified slideshow with a story to it and send it to every school that has predominant black population. Send
Wow.
it to them. And the film, just really quickly, it documents what happened to us from 1619 all the way up until Obama.
Oh,
And
wow.
but what I did with this film was I did the voices, which I've been doing my entire life. I did these voices and I had these two evil forces. One people call the devil. I tried to stay away from the religious aspect, but it sounds like the devil and one of his minions.
Right.
And they're having a discussion about, the minion says to him, hey, look, we got a problem. Why? They got a black president.
Yeah.
And so the evil force, what do I call him? The Grand Master of Evil.
Mm-hmm.
He says, oh, don't worry about them, my friend. We've been handling them since 1619. They are no match for us. So I added that in.
Right.
And then what happened was he said, let me tell you what I did to these people in 1619. And then I show slavery, the clips, the beatings. And then I show them segregation in the 50s.
Right.
And then I show even when they had leaders, I killed King, I killed X, I killed the 4 little girls in a church on a Sunday while they were praying. So I had this thing throughout just to show black kids and people
Right.
what happened to this group of people that looked this way from that way all the way up until Obama.
Right.
And then I showed the hope. I showed the crack dealing. I showed the use of the N-word, all this other stuff until we got to Obama.
Right.
And then at the end, the profound statement that the minion, oh, Grandmaster, what are we going to do? But they got a president. Oh, don't worry. They will forget.
Yeah.
They will forget everything. And in 5 years, they will hate Barack Obama.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was going to happen. It really did. But anyway, so going back to your question. So I made this film.
Mm-hmm.
I sent it out to all these schools. And then I had such a revelation, people calling me, people talking to me, people thinking I was a reverend, all this other stuff. So all this stuff took place at that moment. I had people, CNN, all this other stuff was happening. I wasn't a filmmaker.
Wow.
I really wasn't. And so from that moment in time, LeShawn, I said to myself, I said, well, maybe you're good at this. Maybe you are.
Yeah.
And then it started, I got a little bit more confident, a little bit more technically sound. And then it hit me one day. I said, you could do a story on any human being walking if you tell a story.
Yes.
And that's what made me interested in doing documentaries.
Wow. So War of the Souls was the journey from blessed Black people to Barack Obama.
Yes.
How did you feel making that documentary, uncovering all of the information, the research that you collected, and then also living, through some of that? How did you feel while you were making this documentary?
The strangest thing is my ex-wife, and we're friends, so she could attest to this. I did not put any film clips together. I didn't put any visuals, nothing. Mm-hmm. I literally had this idea in my head, and this was right after he won. I said, you know what? If I could tell the kids I used to work with that anything is possible.
Yeah.
So I actually did the audio to the whole thing first. And I've never done that. And I did this within 48 hours. Let me tell you something.
Really?
Mike's film took 9 months and 9 hours a day. This I did in 48 hours. I had her come in the room. I said, hey, honey, listen to this. She listened to the whole thing. It's about 17 minutes long. It's really short. She
Wow.
listened to the whole thing. She said, how long have you been working on? When did you write that? I said, it just came to me.
Wow.
She said, what do you mean? When I said it to my daughter said, no, you were possessed by the devil at that moment, Dad. That's what happened. She said, he got in your spirit and took over and you got him out. You might need an exorcism. But the bottom line was, after doing that, she saw it. And in my mind, then I started putting the visual images to whatever I was saying. I started putting the visual images. And then after a while, the visual images started to hit. But it really hit home when I started to travel the country. And I would see a room full of people, 200 people, in some cases 1,000 people. And I would see them at the end of this film. I'm getting teary-eyed and I'm glad I got the shades on. I would see a room full of people crying. Wow. Crying. Wow. And then people looking at me like, oh my God. I'm like, no, it's not me. And I still, to this day, I had a speaking engagement at University of North Carolina. And his sister, I believe she was from Ghana, but this African sister, she was a professor of the class. And she asked me, she said, so aren't you proud of this work? And I'll never forget this. I said, ma'am, no. She said, no, man, you have to be more proud of your work. It's almost like you're ashamed of it. And I'll never forget this. It came out of me. I told her, I said, ma'am, nobody in their right mind that doesn't have a film background, doesn't even know how to edit stuff, can make a 17 minutes is long. Yeah. And have it go viral. Yes. And have TV stations and the Michael Baisden show and all this. I said, you can't do that, man. I said, ma'am, you can't do that on your own. Yeah. I said, that's not me. I said, I will brag on myself. I still think I'm a good dancer. I will brag on, but the bottom line is, I said, I can't take credit for this one. I said, I know there is a spirit. Yes. There is a spirit in the sky. You can call him whatever you want to call him.
It was God uncovering his gift in you.
Yes. There's no way.
Yeah.
No way.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So now you got the bug. You've got this documentary, this short documentary, but still a documentary out that went viral. You've got it being shown all over. Were you prepared for that? What did you have to readjust to kind of handle all of that?
Great question. One of the adjustments was I saw it was on every website. They were putting on every website. And the most frightening thing is, and I had my, the Google search. I had it set up where every time War for Your Soul was on anything, I would be able to see who did it and who said what. Wow. I wasn't used to that time period of negative backlash. I didn't know that came to a regular person like me. I didn't know it would come to a film that really was trying to help Black kids stop killing each other, become more family, stop random sex. I literally did not know somebody would attack me for that. Wow. I wasn't ready for that. Now, today, I'm ready for it because I went through that experience. But I'm going to tell you, LeShawn, when I saw my film, one day it was on some Ku Klux Klan website. And all the clips that I showed at the beginning of us being hung, the hanging pictures, instead of them complaining and saying, oh, this was made by some liberal, no, they were saying, oh, these were the good old days. I remember this. Wow. Whoever made these were the good old days. Wow. And then I even had a Black, well-known pastor in Seattle, Washington, who wrote in his daily column, you have to be careful of the secret hand who makes something like this. Now, what hurt me was not only he was Black, not only he's a pastor, but I'm speaking to our lost spirituality. I'm speaking to our lost connection of Africa. I'm speaking to the fact that why would we train our children to sell drugs to each other? I'm speaking to the fact of syphilis and gonorrhea and AIDS running rampant through our community. I'm speaking of all those things. And I'm giving hope at the end that we can overcome this. Look at Barack Obama. Why would he say that? Yes. And so I'm sitting there, I'm at a loss. And here's there's many miracles that took place during this thing. So one of the miracles was, and this still blows me away to this day. Right. Miracle was when that man wrote that, I knew he had a big position in Seattle, Washington. Okay. So I would go to his page and I see him taking pictures with a lot of senators and congressmen. I was like, okay, why would he attack me like that? He doesn't even know me. You know, it almost made me feel like I was working for the FBI and I put out this secret tape to help Black people get better. Why would you say that? Being a Black pastor. So anyway, I sat up all night. Right. And this was going to be the end of my film career. We wouldn't be talking now if this miracle didn't happen. So from, it was what, maybe 12 midnight, I read that.
All right.
And from 12 o'clock midnight till 6 o'clock in the morning, I was trying to get in touch with Michael Eric Dyson. All right. I'm trying to get in touch with him.
Okay.
Because he was the prominent spokesperson for us at that time. He was on BET, CNN, even ESPN. They would bring him on every time there was a hot black topic.
Wow.
And I said, if you can find him and get to him
Mm-hmm.
and explain to him, no, this was my intent. Maybe somebody's seeing it differently. Then he could stick up for you. You know, this is how simple I was thinking.
Right.
So I sat up all night. I know he taught at Princeton. He taught at Georgetown. He taught at University of Pennsylvania. He was on BET. He had books out.
Okay.
He's got like 12 books. And so I'm trying to get in contact with this man, right?
Right.
I'm literally contacting, looking. I could not find any contact information, a phone number, publicist, nothing. And about 6 o'clock in the morning, I said, that's it. And I said to God, I said, God, I'm not made for this. I'm not made for this. I can't handle another person saying something like, it was bad enough to Klan, but then my own people, I can't handle this. I tried to reach out to the right person that could help me out. And I couldn't find him. Wow. And I literally went to bed saying, I will never do this again. Anything public, I will never do it again.
Wow.
Literally, my phone rang about 7 o'clock. Now I'm working on 1 hour's sleep. Right. I had my phone set up where the most important people, it was a regular ring, but anything that had to do with War for Your Soul was when the saints come marching in. Right. That was the ringtone for it. So every time that thing went down, my son,
you knew exactly what it was.
He would literally go, Dad, War for Your Soul. And this thing would go off every 10 minutes. So I pick up the phone. I said, Everside Films, Reggie Bullock speaking. How can I help you? He says, is there a possibility to get that DVD? And I said, yeah. I said, where are you calling from? He said, Minnesota. And I said, how'd you hear about it? He said, I just saw it on CNN. I said, wait a minute, you saw my film on CNN? He said, no, it was a couple of sisters talking about your film on CNN. Wow. I said, you sure it's War for Your Soul? And I said, are you sure it's CNN? He said, yes, it was CNN. Wow. So in my mind, I'm sitting there going, nah, no way. I said, well, I got his address. I said, I'll send you one. I called my son in the room. He's a little more than 9. He was more computer literate than I was at the time. I didn't know anything about computers at the time. So I said, Isaiah, you got to find a way to find the last couple of hours of shows on CNN. Right. So he looked it up. We see these 3 sisters talking to this one brother.
Wow.
And basically, they're just talking about crime in the black neighborhood. And they're talking about crime. I'm just looking. They're not saying anything about my film. And then at the end, this woman says, yeah, but there's a film made by a young guy. She didn't know how old I was. I'm probably older than her. But she said, there's a film made by this young guy. And it's called War for, she pronounced it wrong, War for Our Souls, War for the Soul, whatever she said. And then she says it. I'm like, whoa. And she said, there's a spiritual aspect to this film that we've lost within the black community. Wow. And if people could see this film, it could change lives. Yes. So the 3 of them are talking. She doesn't name my name, which is cool. At this point, I'm going to put my son on blast. My son is leaning on my shoulder. He starts crying. I start crying too. Both of them sitting there crying like, oh, I can't believe this happened. What is going on?
Yeah.
So then he's saying goodbye to the guest, the host. And he says, one lady, thank you for being here. To the other lady, thank you for being here. And the finally, the one that said, we need to see this. And he says to her, listen, tell your husband, anytime he wants to come on, we'll have him on. I said, oh, her husband must be big. And he says, okay, thank you, Reverend Marcia Dyson.
Wow.
That was Michael Eric Dyson's wife.
Wow.
And so I sat there from 12 to 6 trying to get in contact with Michael Eric Dyson.
Yes,
and do it. Yes. Told God, I'm done. And God says, you know what? You ain't done yet. Why? Right. I'm going to put his wife on CNN an hour from when you quit. And that is not me.
My God. That's all. You are so right about that. It was meant for you, my friend. Yes. So now oh my God, you've reached that level now, all the fanfare. When did you transition into motivational speaking then? How did that come about?
That was another thing, I can honestly say it was an act of God as well. People started calling me and they said, could you come and speak about your film? And I said, well, I really don't accept money because I really wasn't accepting money for any of this stuff. Right. I said, well, yeah, I don't really. I said, well, we got to give you something. I said, what do you mean? How about if we put you in a nice hotel and pay for your plane fare? And I was like, oh, okay, because I've never done this. I'm like, you're going to, And they put me in the best hotel. One place in Maryland, they put me in a resort. I didn't even know how to act, LeShawn. I did not know how to act. I'd never been in a resort. Barack Obama and Michelle and the kids were there the week before. They
Wow.
isolated the place. They had like some type of Democratic get together. So I'm walking where I know his wife and him are walking. And this is sad. Please, nobody hold this against me. By the way, I'm part-time comedian, but they had like apples and oranges fresh that looked like they were just picked in the lobby. When you went in the gym, they had cold water here, soda over here, Gatorade over here. So I said, hey, how much does this cost? She said, oh, it's free, sir. I said, are you serious? So she's looking at me like, he ain't never been anywhere. So I'm sitting there. I grabbed the orange, either banana, and I looked at her just to make sure she was, hey, put that back. You still so. But it was funny because I had never been to like a resort where you could. I'm like peeling a banana, but then I'm like snatching extra stuff as I'm walking to the elevator. I'm like grabbing extra. I'm holding like baskets of stuff. People look at me like, he really is a thief. I'm like, no, I've never been offered.
You were waiting for them to tell you, wait, where you think you're going?
Wait, stop. You got to pay for that. God. And so that was interesting. But what happened was when you asked that question about the speaking thing, same thing happened. First speaking engagement, I was talking too long, way too long.
Oh, wow.
I was talking like an hour just to get 5 minutes worth of stuff. Then the second speaking engagement was bad. And then the third one, I was out in Oakland, California. 100 black men flew me out there.
Wow.
They had something was wrong with the lights in the audience. So it took a while for the lights to come on. So I'm speaking to a dark room. It looks like I'm by myself. The spotlight is on me. I can't see anybody. There's about 200 people out there. That's weird. If you're talking to what looks like an empty audience.
Right.
And so I'm at the podium speaking. I'm stumbling my words. I'm stuttering. All kind of weird stuff is happening. I went back when this is over. I said, I will never do this again. I'm not a public speaker. I'm just not cut out for this. I called one of my good friends. He said, Reg, don't feel bad. Everything is for everybody. I was speaking to after charity group and he said, I just started stumbling my words. And he's a very good speaker.
Right.
Said, it's not for everybody. And I said, you know what? You're right. I'm never going to do this again. And I was comfortable until somebody called and said, hey, we'll pay you $4,000. I'm like, hey, wait a minute.
$4,000. Yes, come on. So what are this content? Like what was the content of your speeches? Like who would seek you out to speak at their event?
It was churches, it was colleges, it was high schools.
Wow.
The bulk of it was I went all over. University of North Carolina, Duke. I spoke. These are prestigious universities that I had my struggling behind. I had no reason being up in there. But what happened on my the one where they offered me $4,000. So I go there, and this is to anybody listening that doesn't believe they can do something. You got to have failure. And so I failed. It was like a comedian being on stage and not being funny 2-3 times. By the way, that happened to Kevin Hart. But so I go there and I just let it go. I said, look, I'm just going to speak about how I feel, some stories in my life connected to the film, and take the $4,000 and leave. And something hit me where I was saying things that were making people laugh. And I was like, whoa, they laughed. Wait a minute. That's kind of funny. And then I would say stories that you could see people like crying, holding their face going, oh my God. I said, wow. And it culminated with a speech in Maryland where this older black man came up to me. He held my hand. He was shaking it, but he held it with both hands. He wouldn't let it go. And I'm like, come on, man, let my hand go. And he said, I have never heard anybody make an audience cry and make them laugh and make them cry again and make them laugh. He said, you did that. And he says, there's only one guy I heard speak like that in my life, and that was Barack Obama. So, whoa.
Wow.
Now, of course, I'm not saying I can speak like Barack Obama. I'm not saying I'm the greatest speaker. I'm not saying any of that.
You're good.
I'm sharing that story to show. I went from, I'm never going to do this again.
Right.
And I said that twice. I'm never going to do this again. To moving an audience.
Yes.
So it showed me the power, this hidden power. And it also showed me the fear.
Yeah.
We walk around afraid of our own success.
Yeah.
And it showed me that. So
yeah. I totally agree with that. And I'm so glad that you did not stop and that God showed you the signs that you needed to keep you moving forward, because obviously this is your gift. This is your purpose. So 10 minutes we have left, and we literally have like a whole hour more conversation to go. But I need to know from you during this journey, what now that you're interviewing with the Greatness 5 Legacy, During this journey, what is the most important thing that you've learned about documenting your life, filmmaking, motivational speaking, living your gift? Can you kind of sum that up in a quick statement?
Yes, I could sum it up by saying this real quick. I thought I was the only person after going through brain surgery and coming out fine.
Right.
I thought I was the only person that went through something of that magnitude.
Right.
Then I had another operation 10 years earlier, cut my chest open, myasthenia gravis. So I literally thought, wow, you're really special. You survived all these things. But after interviewing 80 people, oh no, I'm just regular with pain because they have all gone through something. Yeah. Every single person I know has gone through major tragedy, whether it's divorce, whether it's losing their children, whether it's sickness. I interviewed one woman that basically died 3 different times in her life. Wow. And so that never happened to me. And so I looked at my problem. I didn't look at it as something small, but I looked at it and said, wow, everybody you see is great. But at the same time, everybody you see has gone through some type of suffering. Wow. And it's motivated me to say, wow, we're all these spirits trying to make it on this earth. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that. It sounds like you've gained a lot of insight. I know that this has also sent you on a spiritual journey, everything that you've been through, in addition to who you are and what you've accomplished. So tell us a little about that. I know you're so passionate about empowering and educating our youth. Tell us a little about your spiritual journey real quick, and how that relates to what you want for our children, the youth in the world.
Well, my spiritual journey has been enhanced 1 billion times over. And what's funny is my religious journey has kind of slid off, where I'm really looking all at humanity as we all serve one God. But I haven't had a chance to tell you the full thing, and maybe I'll come back. Maybe you guys will invite me back. But there's one story I usually tell everybody about how this thing took off. And this is nothing but God or a higher power, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. It's there. Yeah. And so I saw a janitor down in Birmingham, Alabama. He called me. I usually do the voices and all the stuff. I'm not going to do it because I know we're pressed for time right now. But this janitor, he passed on my information to another person who called me from Birmingham. And then 3 days later, somebody else called me from Birmingham. Wow. And then a woman from Los Angeles, California, old lady, called me and said, can I get the DVD? And I said, yes. Ma'am, how'd you hear about it? You know, my neighbor, my nephew, Pedro, he's down in Birmingham. He said he knows you well. I'm like, whoa, this one guy who we might have looked upon as slow and broke, he kept passing it on until the mayor of Birmingham calls me.
Wow.
I didn't believe. So when the mayor calls me, I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. So this guy named Pedro White, I don't know where you are, Pedro. Some people say you're an angel, but ending the story real quick. I saw, it's almost like God showed me that, you see, the least of us took that film, and now it's close to 20 million people in Nigeria watching this. But the least of us, the person and I never look down on people, but the person that we all look down on, he doesn't even know what he has done for the world. Yeah. He doesn't even know. So it taught me, when you ask the spiritual side, it taught me, oh no, there's things I can't even imagine. Yeah. There are things out there we can't even see with our own eyes. Wow. From Michael Eric Dyson's wife to that story, and there's several others that took place. I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't do that.
Wow.
I didn't do that. So
wow, that is amazing. And your desire for educating our young adults, especially showing them the struggle and you know, everything that our people have endured. Real quick, how important is that to you and us sharing our story with you?
It's really important, LeShawn, but I'm getting slightly saddened or depressed over the journey we're going to have to educate our kids. Yeah. Because you see, we got 2 things going. And I heard my daughter even say that. I told her I have to do an extensive documentary on Harriet Tubman. She said, Dad, I'll be honest with you. And my daughter, I've taught her to be not pro-Black, but proud of her Blackness, all this. And she said to me, Dad, my generation is tired. And this is no kid.
Right.
It was in her 30s.
Right.
And she said, we're getting tired of hearing slave stories.
Yeah.
And I said, you're right. I said, but in the Jewish faith, they never get tired of talking about the Passover. They never get tired of talking about the Holocaust because they use that as inspiration to move forward.
Yep.
So although I know we were kings and queens in Africa, I do know that. But how dare I or any other young Black child forget the struggle, forget that you can't sit behind that desk. I can't sit here with these Stevie Wonder glasses and his Run DMC hat. I can't sit here publicly and do what we do.
Right.
If your ancestors did not take that whip to the back, they couldn't read.
Yeah.
Look at you. You're sitting there with something you could read in front of you. You would be killed 150 years ago for doing that.
Yep.
We couldn't do that. We couldn't have this conversation. We would have to act stupid. We would have to do that to please the master. So I think people who went through that, I think they need to be honored. I'm not honoring slavery.
Right.
But I think we need to have that connection to go, wow, if they did that, I could do anything with my cell phone.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting lost. But I do understand how they feel, like tired of hearing stories about it. And I get that.
Right.
They're ashamed of that, but I can't be ashamed of my great-great-grandfather, Jeff, and my other great-great-grand. I can't, because I'm like, wow.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
No, I get it. And I almost at one point felt the same way as the youth. Like, I'm tired of hearing about the struggle, but it has to be told because we have to honor those that paved the way for us. So I totally get it. Oh my God. I wanted to get to a video clip of yours real quick because you have a new series that you're working on called Reggie, Ruthie, and the Rev.
Yeah, that's a comedy.
We have like 3 minutes. So we're going to play this video, and then I want you to tell me real quick what it is, and then we have to close.
Okay, thank you.
1 second.
Hey, Reginald, did I ever tell you about the time that me and Luther Vandross got in a fight when we were teenagers?
No, and I don't believe it.
Yeah, well, you see, Big Luther, that's what we used to call him. We were co-workers at Oscar's Onion Ring restaurant, and Luther had a habit of reaching over in my plate, because, you know, he was a jokester. He used to reach over my plate with them chubby fingers and go, whoa, and take the last onion ring from my plate. And that used to tick me off. And I told Luther.
Now, were we talking about Luther Vandross in that clip?
Yeah.
No way. So tell us real quick, 30 seconds or less. What is the Reggie, Ruthie, and the Rev show?
It is my attempt at comedy. I've been doing voices. I can't talk regularly to anybody, so I do voices. So I said, you know what? I'm going to create a comedy series with these 3 characters. Yes, they're all me. So I've got all 3 of these characters going at the same time. And it sounds like it's 3 people in the room, and they're just discussing topics from time to time. And some people love it. Some people think it's really, really funny. Of course, my family does not think it's funny.
Well, Reggie, I'm going to tell you, I thought it was 3 different people. I really thought it was a Ruthie and a Rev. So I am so totally impressed. We want to put up your contact information real quick before I get to the Dare to Be You. But Reggie, oh my God, you know you're coming back. And I mean, you're coming back as soon as you're done with these 80 plus interviews that you're doing, because we have not even scratched the surface. But you can reach him at, I think it's erifilms@gmail.com. You also have Greatness 5 on YouTube, and you have the Reggie, Ruthie, and the Rev show on YouTube. Please, guys, check it out. Look him up. He's an amazing guy. You had me fooled. I literally thought it was an old lady and an old man. I'm serious. So we're going to have to talk about that again later. But let me get real quick, because I'm coming back to you, to the Dare to Be You. Now, the Dare to Be You is, it's important that we share our experiences with other people. Your story will heal you, and your story will heal somebody else. When you tell your story, you free yourself and give other people permission to acknowledge their own story. Reggie, that's what you have done today, my friend. You've only given us a tidbit of your story, but I feel like it's given me permission to share mine, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the funny, the fears, everything we need to share with others so that they can feel comfortable then sharing with you as well. So real quick, please tell me something that is on your heart that you would like to share with our viewers before we go.
First thing on my heart is everybody needs to subscribe to this channel right now. This is one of the best podcasts, and it's going to grow and grow and grow, and it's amazing. Love your energy and keep it going. And the second thing I would say to everybody out there is you really do have a purpose. It's not just, we use these terms all the time. We really are special.
Yes.
and find your passion.
Yes.
That's what I believe.
Thank you. Oh my God, Reggie. Thank you so much for being here. I love the fact that you shared everything that you do, how passionate you are about it, and the fact that we all can live our dreams. We just have to chase them down. We have to find it. We are greatness. We are greatness.
Yes,
So
we
I
are.
hope you guys out there enjoyed this amazing episode of Your Our Unity, where we want you to document your life, share your story, live it, love it unapologetically, and be grateful. I'd like to thank Reggie Bullock for coming. We're having you back very soon, probably within the next couple of weeks or so, if you have the time. I want you guys to have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Remember that peace and love is in the palm of our hands. Let's go out there and share some love, be some love, give some love. Thank you again, Reggie. I love you so much. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. You have a great night. I love you. We'll talk soon.